I want to tell you two stories. And the first story takes place in 2009, and the second story takes place in 2015. So if you can stretch your mind back to the year 2009, this is a few years before True Father's passing. Our True Father ascended to the spirit world in 2012. And so in 2009, True Father was still very much our charismatic, crazy True Father, doing his thing, and with True Mother by his side. And the story that I want to tell relates to a crossroads that I experienced in my life, at which I wanted to have a conversation with God about what I wanted to do with my life. My ambition was to dedicate a certain period of time, 7 years, for some kind of public offering. So I spent 3 of those years at university, also 2 of those years on STF. And then I was reaching the end of this 7-year period, which was a very intentional offering of public service. And my plan at that stage was to become a school teacher. I had applied for a course to become a school teacher. But before I started that course, I was offered a few opportunities, a variety of different opportunities. One of them was to work with the former Prime Minister and a team of interfaith young people that he was collecting together, which for me was very attractive. At that time, I was very involved in interfaith activities. And so to be involved in such a project would be a fantastic opportunity to get close relationally to a former Prime Minister and possibly introduce him to true parents, and also to make some fantastic new friends. So that was a very tempting opportunity. But also I was invited to take on a mission within our community. And I'll be honest with you, I never wanted to be a church leader. That was the last thing I wanted to do. I know many of you probably know that Matthew Huish, he's church leader, he's been pastor, national leader, but seriously, that was the last thing I wanted to do. I wanted to, be a teacher. I was finishing my 7 years of public offering. But in this junction of my life, I felt I have to consider these different options and I need to pray about this. So I did a 3-day prayer condition, going for a long walk, minimum 40 minutes. But after the 40 minutes, I just continued walking, maybe for more than an hour, and praying out loud, really screaming to Heavenly Parent and letting God know all of my thoughts and feelings. And during those 3 days, although I was offering lots of questions and thoughts to my Heavenly Parent, there was no obvious answer in response. So I was a little bit disappointed about that. But then after the 3rd day of prayer, I had a dream. And when I woke up, this dream was incredibly vivid. I dreamt that true parents were in the UK headquarters in central London, in Lancaster Gate. And at that time, they were the Lancaster Gate headquarters was not only the headquarters for the UK, but it was also the European office at that time. I'll come back to that. True parents were there. There was a large number of brothers and sisters sitting cross-legged on the floor, listening to True Father speaking in my dream. And then later in the dream, I was in an office at the top of the building. Actually, there are no offices at the top of the building, but in my dream, I felt like I was stuck in some office doing some meaningless administrative work. It felt like I was in an ivory tower, if you're familiar with this idiom. Very remote from the reality, the spiritual reality on the ground. That's how I felt. And then the next thing I noticed in my dream was that the building had collapsed. There was just rubble everywhere. And I could perceive intuitively in my dream that the building collapsed not because of an earthquake, because all of the neighboring buildings were perfectly fine. But I perceived in my dream that the building collapsed, our European headquarters collapsed because the foundations of the building were rotten. And then the last thing that happened in my dream was I saw people, brothers and sisters, running into the rubble, and they were running to rescue True Mother. And at that point in the dream, I decided to join them, that I would also run into the collapsed building and rescue True Mother. I called all of my elders, the people I respect, to ask them about what they think about this dream. And the best advice I received was from a former national leader who said, Matthew, it's your dream. It's your responsibility to interpret this. So I spent some time prayerfully reflecting on what this dream meant. And I felt God was trying to tell me, Matthew, I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm not going to tell you you should become a teacher, or you should go join this interfaith program, or you should do a church mission. What you choose to do doesn't matter to me. Yeah, whatever you do, you take responsibility for it. But let me just share with you a prophetic revelation about something which is going to happen in the future. And I felt that Heavenly Parent was telling me that the foundations of faith of our European community were not strong enough. And True Father's words have power, and they can shake us. And True Father's words can shake us so much that our community could collapse, and then True Mother would need to be rescued. So that was God's message to me, which I felt a little bit terrified about. But anyway, because of that dream, I decided that I would dedicate time to beefing up the foundation of faith of our European community. And I realized that had to start with one person, me. I had to fortify my own foundation of faith in order to help others as well, to strengthen their foundation of faith. A few years later, True Father passed away. And a few years after that, in 2015, True Father's youngest son started sharing publicly some of his thoughts and feelings in some public lectures, some public sermons. Maybe some of you remember, this was the start of Sanctuary Church. And I was very interested in listening to these talks. I have an affection for all members of the True family, and I was really interested in what he had to say. And this is now my second story. In 2015, at the beginning of 2015, where I think it was January, Hyungjanim started sharing these lectures. One of them was called Breaking the Silence. Another one was called God Save the Queen. And his words penetrated deeply into my heart. I resonated strongly with what he was saying. And I found myself in a very, very challenging situation, because at that time, what he said made a lot more sense to me than what True Mother was saying. I really struggled in my relationship with True Mother. I thought that she was like a broken record. She says the same thing over and over again. And I found it very difficult to understand and appreciate what she was saying. Also, the way she said it. She's not a charismatic public speaker in the same way that True Father was. And she often wears these dark sunglasses, especially indoors, which really annoyed me, because I felt this big barrier between me and True Mother. Who is this woman? I have no affection for her, in the same way that I had this deep affection for True Father. And this really troubled me. And so when Hyungjanim was saying the seductive words that he said, I was very tempted to do what he was asking. He was asking all pastors and leaders to abandon their roles and fly to the USA and work with him. And I was very tempted to do that. I was actually teaching on a workshop in Turkey at the time that this happened, when I was watching these talks. And I did another prayer, but I didn't have 3 days to pray. I had to very quickly pray. So I skipped dinner. And I have to say, the food in Turkey is amazing. So skipping dinner to pray is not a small thing. For me, that was huge, to skip the amazing food and instead spend just 1 hour intensely praying. And again, God didn't tell me what to do in response to my prayer, but I just felt intuitively, Matthew, don't do anything stupid right now. Just hold on and see what's going to happen. So I didn't fly to America. I didn't go to Pennsylvania to give up my responsibility and attend Hyangjanim. But at the same time, I still struggled in my relationship with True Mother. And that was something I had to wrestle with for probably another 2 years. Even though I was made the national leader in 2015, shortly afterwards, and yet I had this battle within myself to grow in my relationship with True Mother. And the way I did that, I'll be very honest with you, was by working on my own relationship with my mother. I don't have a good relationship with my mother. It's very difficult, even still today. It's something that I need to overcome, that I need to be a more filial son towards my mother. I mean, my mother's an interesting person. I'm sure all of our parents are interesting people, but I really struggled to feel love from my mother. And what I realized was I was projecting my mummy issues onto my relationship with True Mother. Yeah, the problem wasn't True Mother. The problem was me. And I just had to be humble enough to admit that to myself. And, you know, we all want to receive love like little children. We all want the attention of our parents. Look at me, true parents. Look at me, true mother. Show me love. Talk to me. That's what I think we all want. But that's never happened to me. I've never had a one-to-one conversation with True Mother. Even one where she, scolds me. I would appreciate that, but not directly. I haven't experienced that. But I worked on my relationship with my mother and realized that she does love me. Maybe I don't feel it immediately, but I have to make effort to learn to receive the love that my mother has for me. And then I applied that same principle to True Mother. I recognize True Mother does love me, and I need to make effort in order to receive it. So I had the privilege of attending some of these international leadership programs in Korea, these international assemblies. And True Mother would do these gestures to show love to everybody there. And I had a few very small experiences, which are very difficult for me to articulate. But in those moments, I genuinely felt True Mother loves me. In this room full of 500 people, where True Mother comes to the front and just beams with her smiling face. And she says, look at the beautiful dress I'm wearing. Don't you think it's beautiful? In the past, I would have thought, no, I don't. Why are you asking me if I think your dress is beautiful? I don't care about your dress. I care about other things. But then I realized, no, this is True Mother wanting to show her love. She has chosen this outfit to make me happy. And it's my responsibility to receive that love. So now, every time True Mother appears in public, I pay attention to the dress that she's wearing, to the earrings and the outfit. It's always amazing. She's very intentional about what she's wearing. And I feel actually a lot of love from that. And it's something I'm now sharing with my children. My children like to stay up very early in the morning to watch these rallies of hope and see True Mother speaking. I'm thinking, you're crazy, but they want to see what True Mother's wearing. and they want to know what kind of dress she's wearing. So thankfully, I've been able to overcome the barrier in my heart so that my children hopefully are liberated. And my recommendation to you, brothers and sisters, is that if you want to grow in your relationship with true mother and true father, indeed, have a look at the barriers within your own hearts, which are creating a barrier from you. I realized that me going to rescue true mother actually rescued me. That's what has really happened over the last few years, and that's how I would like to conclude my testimony to you this evening. Thank you, brothers and sisters.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. So yes, thank you for being still present. I know it's been a lot to take in until now, and so I'm very grateful that you're still here bearing with me, and I hope to be able to still convey something valuable, even though it's like getting a bit late. But yeah, wonderful testimonies, wonderful experiences, and I'm really grateful for everything we heard so far. What I will be sharing is also some personal experience that I was very blessed to be having with a bit more closely and directly with True Mother. And as we all know, it's we hear those stories, those kind of stories from maybe our parents or our church leaders, and sometimes it's hard to picture true parents in the backstage. Like we see them often in those rallies, or maybe we remember True Father from those big events and big speeches. But I feel like those personal experiences with them when they're not in such public events are so valuable and so meaningful. And I always recommend to ask as much as possible to whoever has had those kind of experiences to really share them with you, because it does give you that kind of more personal aspect of who true parents are. And especially the title of today is like True Parents Are My Parents. I feel like this is so important, that you feel that true parents are not just those amazing speakers or creating those great events, but they're actually human and they're parents, right? And so I hope that with those two testimonies, I can help you connect to that kind of heart and to that kind of parental heart that I have felt from true parents. So I'm going to focus specifically on True Mother, and I was very blessed to be in the position of having some close encounters with her. And the first time happened during STF when I was directing the program. So what happened was that we had this wonderful couple here in Europe. It was Dr. Pak and Mrs. Moon. Some of you might remember them, might have met them. It's the most loveliest couple I've ever met. And I was very lucky to have met them a few times. They came to our house in Rome because my parents are church leaders there. And so I kind of built a connection with them, and I felt so much love from them, to the point that when STF went to Korea that year, I think it was 2017, I asked them, can you come and speak to the STF members? Because they have so many things to share. And I felt, it would be so valuable if Dr. Pak and Mrs. Moon can speak to STF. And of course, they said yes, let's just tell us a date, let's organize this. And the second question they asked me was, does True Mother know you're here? And guilty as charged, she didn't. And this is the one thing that I'm so grateful for Dr. Balcom now and Fumiko Balcom, that they keep on encouraging us to write to True Mother. But back then I wasn't used to do that. And I didn't even think True Mother knew what STF was or what we were doing here in Europe. And so I was like, no, she actually doesn't know we're here. And so they said, okay, let me talk to her. You might get the chance to meet her. And I was like, yeah, right. I was like, okay, my first reaction was like, this is not going to happen. Like, True Mother is not meeting a bunch of young kids who are here, for a pilgrimage, right? And fair enough, the next day they replied and they said, as soon as True Mother heard that, you know, STF is here, she said, yes, she wants to meet you. And I was like, oh my God, I was like in total panic. I was like, what do I do now? Like, how do I behave? Like, what do I have to organize, you know? And it was quite a, you know, hectic moment. I never expected, right? And you know how hard it is for even leaders sometimes to be able to have a private meeting with True Mother. And for her, just one day to the other, she was like, yes, I want to meet you guys. And it was an incredible moment where just a few days later, she invited us to the palace, the whole STF group, and it was really a personal kind of setting. Like it was just STF and her with a few of the True family members. And she invited us to have lunch together with this Heaven G Burger in this fancy room in the palace. But more than that, so before we went, they from the staff at the palace, they asked us to have our t-shirt sizes because True Mother wanted to give us a present. And my first thought was, okay, like we're gonna get one of those like champion t-shirts, you know, one of those like leftovers or something, you know, like True Mother's not gonna, you know. But then we got there. We got there, and we before True Mother came in, we were asked to see the t-shirts and wear them. And they were beautiful t-shirts. I'm not gonna say what kind of brand it was, but it was a very good brand, very high quality t-shirts, beautiful colors. And more than that, like what the staff told us, the way those t-shirts came to the palace. So apparently True Mother took personal time to go shopping with our name list, thinking about, you know, the colors that she wanted to pick and like the style of the t-shirt, and like, you know, she handpicked those t-shirts for us. And I like, my mind was just, I was like, what? Like I couldn't speak at that point. And then when she went to pay for them, at the cashier, they were asking her, who are all those t-shirts for, you know, like somebody buying 50, 60 t-shirts at a time is a bit weird. And her answer was, these are for my grandchildren. This is what she said. And for me, this was just an incredible moment. I felt like, who are we to deserve this? You know, like, who am I? Like, coming, you know, we're just a bunch of young kids, from one day to another. You know, she just wants to meet us. And then we had such a great time. So we wore those beautiful t-shirts. I'm still, you know, having mine very packed like a treasure, in a very special place. But yeah, we had a very good time. We wore those t-shirts, we had lunch with her, and then she wanted to hear some of our testimonies, which we prepared before. And then after that, she gave us a few words, especially connected to the role of Europe and the providence of Europe, because it was STF Europe, right? And at that moment, I really felt like her heart of a mother. She literally like gave us clothes, gave us food. She was hearing us talking, and then she gave us wisdom. It's like, this is the complete package of you know, what a mother would do, right? And again, like for me, because that was the first time that STF was invited so personally to meet True Mother. It was literally just us and her. Then it felt very special. It felt very unique. And I really felt like, you know, her heart in really wanting to give to the youth of our movement, and actually wanted to just quickly share the picture so you can see the t-shirts. Just a second, there we go. But some of you might be there. Yes, so this was such a beautiful moment. Those beautiful t-shirts, we got to get a picture so close to her. Some of the STF members remember, like, I could almost touch her, you know, like for how close we were. Like there was barely any security, right? And then of course you see Dr. Pak, Mrs. Moon, and then Yonanim Sanjanim and her husband, and we were all there together. it was a beautiful moment, very beautiful time that we had together. And I'm gonna let this sink in before I move on to the next testimony. So what happened just a year later was that we went, so True Mother asked volunteers to go to Senegal. There was this very big event that was gonna happen. Some of you might have been there or might remember about it. Anto, I see you feeling the pain already, remembering about those times. But yeah, so it was a bit of a difficult choice for us to make because it was across the new year. Like we went end of December, beginning of January. It was gonna disrupt our schedule, whatever. But like we felt True Mother really needed us. But what we were told when we were gonna go there was that we were gonna have some witnessing time with the local second generation. We were gonna go sightseeing and just kind of promote the event with flyers or something, But what actually happened when we arrived was that they put us to work right away. And we stayed about maybe 3 to 4 weeks. And I'm not gonna lie when I say we were not sleeping and we were not eating for how much work needed to be done. And, for as much as we felt, I think we were really driven by the fact that we really wanted this event to happen for True Mother, and we really wanted to make this kind of, I want to say sacrifice, but like if we weren't gonna do it, it wasn't gonna happen. So we were feeling this kind of pressure. We were feeling this kind of determination, like we really want to make this offering for True Mother, but it was really not easy. And also, it wasn't just the non-sleeping, non-eating kind of like physical burden, but also because we were not professionals asking to do jobs that perhaps professionals should have done. There was a lot of mistakes involved. There was a lot of like emotional pressure as well, and having to be, doing everything perfectly. Anyways, it was, I would say a very hard time, but with full of like purpose, full of like, this kind of drive on really wanting to make it happen. Some of us got sick because obviously it's like a different continent, different food. Anyways, and right after, even during the event, we were working, so we couldn't really kind of participate in a sense. And then right after the event, we just had to go back. So at the end of this time in Senegal, I felt personally a little bit burned out. Like I would do it all over again. I wasn't regretting it. And we were told so many times that, without STF, that this event would not have happened. But actually not just STF, there were a few other volunteers as well from Europe and other countries. So without these volunteers, the event wouldn't have happened. But there was a little bit of a heavy feeling, like there was a lot of sacrifice involved. And so what happened when we came back to Europe, kind of resuming our schedules, we got a letter from True Mother directly. And so that year, because we kind of rearranged our schedule to go to Senegal in January, we were planning to have our pilgrimage to Korea a little bit later in the summer. But as you all know, like in Korea, usually it's around February when there are those like big events, blessings, and big things happening. So this letter came from True Mother where she was inviting us to participate to those events. And it was like almost like a personal invitation to thank us for the work that we did in Senegal. And what happened was that she was offering to pay our tickets to get to Korea so that we could be there for those events and so that she could thank us in person. And so I was, again, very moved, very touched, because I feel like, so, there's times where so much effort in our movement, I feel it's a little bit maybe not recognized enough. And I felt like she really did. She was this great example of a leader, like really recognizing the effort that was made. And so we got offered tickets to go, and we participated to those events. And then I can show you maybe the second picture, because she at the end of those events, then she invited us to the palace, and some of you might see yourselves in here. So she invited us to the palace, and she gave us a talk. And again, it was just us and her, and she specifically requested for all the young volunteers who helped out in Senegal to be there and to be present, so that and her only purpose was really like to say thank you to us personally, which to me felt really amazing. And I can tell you, like, most of us were just crying through the whole time, because it was so moving just to hear True Mother saying thank you so personally and from the heart. There was a lot of sacrifice made, and she didn't let it go unnoticed. She really took the time to literally buy us tickets to come all the way to Korea for all of us, so that she could thank us properly. And the best moment was towards the ending, where she ended her speech. She talked about how important our work was, and then when she was about to leave, she went doing this like heart thing, this Korean heart thing, and it was the cutest thing I've ever seen. It was amazing. I wish I had a picture of that. I think somebody did take it. I need to find it, but it was such a deep moment, like seeing her with such a like human side, and so motherly, so loving, like in this sense, and seeing her so like natural, so how do you say, like honest and spontaneous, just going like, like I love you, right? So that was also another precious memory. I felt like whenever I think about True Mother, and we talked a lot about her in this session as well, I feel like there is so much in her as a woman and as a person that's so amazing, and like that should really be appreciated and recognized. I feel like sometimes we get a little bit lost into this, maybe again, like we were talking earlier, right? Only begotten daughter, or maybe her position in terms of like how the universe works and the whole theology behind. But my take with having had those personal experiences is that there's so much more to her in terms of like her being human, and her being a mother, and her being a lovely person, who's trying to do something good for this world. And if we think about everything that she has really done and put an effort for, to really achieve this great idea that she has, so this is something that I feel like even just that, it should really be appreciated and recognized. And anyways, coming to the conclusion, I hope that, by sharing those experiences, you can see that this is not just True Mother's heart for STF, but this is her attitude towards the youth in our movement, which is pretty much you. And this is, just the fact that you guys are here. I'm sure she really, she really appreciates it. Dr. Balcom kind of told her about this workshop, so I'm sure she's thinking about you. And this is really something that came through a lot since she became a leader in the movement, that she's really caring for the youth. And so I hope that, you can feel that kind of heart, you can feel the kind of love that she has for all of us as like young or younger members in the movement. Yeah. So I think I'm going to stop talking because it's getting late, but thank you so much for listening, and back to you, Peter.
Thank you. So first question to Father Huish, how do you see building our relationship with true parents as part of creating our foundation of faith?
Yeah, nice question. I think faith, I like to think of faith as, do I trust? Do I trust God? Do I trust that God loves me? Do I trust that God wants good things for me? It's not just me trying to bribe heaven with some kind of demonstration of blind faith. No, I trust true parents fundamentally. that they want what is best for me. They want what is best for the world. And I trust their agenda. I trust their strategy. And even though sometimes it doesn't make sense immediately, in my experience, often I find that afterwards, in hindsight, they were genius. And my arrogance gets in the way from recognizing that. So I just need to trust them more. So yeah, in terms of building our foundation of faith, I think we need to trust what they're saying and really try to make our effort to understand what it is that they are saying. If the words sound strange in our head and in our heart, I have to ask myself, why is that? And wrestle with those words until I can see the meaning behind them.
Thank you so much, Father Huish.
Would Deborah like to add to that? I'm sure.
Yeah, please, please.
Father Huish is just beautiful. Yeah, no, I agree, of course, and I think as Matthew was saying, is just so many times it's like with our own parents trying to translate that kind of instead of thinking about me and the Messiah, like, how do I trust my parents, and how does that work with my own parents, and is there something that I can match up with how my relationship with true parents works, right? So do I trust my parents the same way that I trust true parents? And I think that kind of connection again makes it more personal and makes it more kind of real in a sense.
Thank you. Would it be Mother Calí then? All right. Many groups out there claim that True Father revealed everything. How would you explain that True Father is behind the providence True Mother is doing? She just revealed the motherly side of God without trying to undermine what Father said. Shall I read that again, or did you get that? So many groups out there claim that True Father revealed everything. How would you explain that True Father is behind the providence True Mother is doing? That she isn't just that I'm not sure this second part, but that she revealed the motherly side of God without trying to undermine what Father said.
If Deborah doesn't mind me going first,
Yes.
Is that yeah? Maybe this is heretical. Maybe I am wrong, but I don't believe that True Father revealed everything. I believe that True Father was standing upon the incredible foundation that God had prepared through thousands of years of looking for people who can step by step restore things. And so we're standing on the Jewish foundation, we're standing on the foundation of our older brother, Jesus Christ. And they revealed things that True Father had to study. True Father's Bible was studied intensely. So True Father really searched for the answers in our Jewish and Christian heritage. And also True Father came from a very important Confucian background, which also informs a lot of the things that True Father explained. And I'm sure that there are things which True Father there are things which have not yet been explained, but in True Father's lifetime, he had to simply explain what he could that was needed at that time. So yeah, maybe I might be wrong and I might be heretical in thinking that, but I don't agree. At least I don't believe that True Father revealed everything. And so I believe every single one of us has the opportunity to reveal something true and new and profound. And just as True Father and True Mother are the only begotten Son and only begotten daughter, so too should all of we be those beloved children of our heavenly parent. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I can add more to that. One of the things I was reflecting about is that for as much as, true parents are one, there's still two different people with two different ways of explaining things and seeing the world, right? And so I don't know, for the ones of you who are blessed yet, I feel like I can relate with that kind of dynamic where, you know, me and my husband, sometimes we're talking about the same thing, but just speaking to something that looks like different angles, right? And so I feel like often with true parents, that's how it happens. I feel like true father used to be a lot more theological, a little bit more complicated, maybe. That's how, or maybe because I was younger and I just wasn't understanding that much. But I feel like when true mother stepped up, I could relate to her so much more because she was a woman, because she spoke a little bit more simply. But I feel like the core message is not really changing. It's just they're giving us a different angle on the same object. And True Father spoke so many times about, you know, heavenly, you know, about God having, you know, a female and a male aspect. And True Mother is now just, you know, bringing out this female aspect, but it doesn't mean that the male aspect doesn't exist anymore. And so that's kind of like the way I understand it.
Yeah. Could I add? Forgive me for being maybe slightly pedantic. I don't think the providence belongs to true parents. I believe it's God's providence, and true parents are the ones who are taking the greatest responsibility to own God's providence. And I'm convinced of that because every time I hear their prayers and listen to their talks, they are single-mindedly concerned with God's heart and God's situation. So this weird, strange idea that true father's providence is different to true mother's providence, it doesn't fit with me. I'm sorry.